Not on my screen. Still 7-2. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is our regular Board of Supervisors meeting, Wednesday, July 11th, 2025. Please stand if you're able and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, may we have the roll call, please?
Scarlett Cantley,
Frank Allen,
Michael Johnson,
Richard Vassalotti,
Elizabeth Accomando,
Jay Foy, Rob Robinson, Burgess Hanson,
Miriam Heiser, Raquel McIntosh,
David Kaplitsky.
For the record, I also have the Facilities, Parks and Recreation Director, Kenny Lawrence, on Zoom, as well as Francis Bethel from Caldwell Passaic.
very good. And Supervisor Argio is stuck in traffic.
Yeah, and Daniel Ray from Engineering is also on Zoom. Sorry, Jay.
Very good, very good. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. We always appreciate the public coming out and participating in the meetings. I just want to go over some housekeeping. Silence your cell phones, please. If you want to have a conversation, please step outside and away from the windows. Please remain orderly and respectful to each other, to the board, and to staff. And we have a new system now called Open Meeting. And we're still working some of the bugs out, but you'll be able to see on the screen to the left all of the motions, the votes, and when any of us would like to speak. So we're hoping to not only bring us into the 21st century, but simplify everything and make everything clear. We are going to be a little repetitive tonight because we don't have the ability just yet, still being worked on, for the people that are watching on Zoom to be able to see what we're seeing here in the room. So until then, we'll be repeating what you're seeing on the screen for a little bit of time. But our amazing IT staff is working on that, so it should be up and running very soon. So thank you for Carrie for all your hard work on this, and Scarlett for making this happen. I think this is going to make us more efficient and more transparent for the public, and everything will be much clearer as we move forward. I think I got everything, Scarlett. Did I forget everything? Okay. Michael? Okay, well, let's get started then. Item 5.1, agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions? Michael, no. Rich, nothing? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion approved.
Nope, hit that button, or the orange button. You could just press it if you like, but for now, let's say it because the people on Zoom aren't seeing this.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're gonna kind of do both until it's all finished being set up. Okay. Do I have a second? Michael, seconded by Michael. Okay, so Richard Vassalotti made the motion, seconded by Michael Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And see that motion passed 3-0. Okay. Presentations, item 6.1. We have a presentation of our financial statement ending from September 30th, 2024 by Dave Kaplitsky of Grau and Associates.
Thank you. It's okay. You did great pronouncing my name. It's David Kaplitsky, a partner with Grau and Associates. We are the district's independent auditors of your financial statements. The purpose of a financial statement is to give an account of the finances over the fiscal year. The purpose of an audit is to verify that account. I'm happy to report that the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024 financial statements, we were able to give an opinion, an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion we can give. It's a clean audit opinion. And it means that In our opinion, the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We are also required to provide our opinion, or not an opinion, but a report on internal controls over financial statements. And I'm happy to report that that was also an unmodified report, or a clean report, meaning there was no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that we noted during our audit. I'd like to thank the board and the staff and the attorneys for all the assistance that they provided, all the information during the audit process. It was very easy to work with them, and we received all the information that we needed to do our job. I know you guys have a long agenda, so I'm not going to go into the details unless you have any specific questions on the report. But I'd like to thank you again for choosing us to be the independent auditors.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Michael? Richard? Ready? Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to receive and file? I can't hear. Can you put the mic on?
Gotta do two things now.
I know.
Motion to
Sorry.
even file.
Second.
Okay.
Second. Sorry. I pressed the button.
Okay.
It was there.
It's a race now, so
It was,
you get an
It was
extra
there.
cookie. Okay, all in favor?
aye.
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 Okay. All right, see that passes 4-1. All right, on our regular agenda this evening, item 7.1, the 29-acre district-owned property under the FPL transmission lines from Persimmon Boulevard to 60th Street. We're looking for a consensus directing staff to review the district's options to sell the 29-acre parcel under the FPL transmission lines from Persimmon to 60th to the adjacent landowners. Betty?
So, I'm not opposed to giving staff direction, but, I personally think that, the board needs to have a full comprehensive discussion about all of the issues and, to come to a consensus on what direction we'd like staff to explore rather than looking at the whole bottle of wax. So I understand there's some issues that we need to do some legal research on
Mm-hmm.
and get direction on if we were to consider selling the parcels or the parcel. But I also, think that there are other paths forward that could be explored that I think might be a win-win situation. But I don't know how the board feels. And because we haven't really delved into any full detailed planning, it's really difficult to just suddenly change and go the opposite direction and not explore any of that. So, having said that, I went to the site, I met with the residents. I was not happy with what I saw. It was not what I expected. And I think there's some immediate issues, and I'm not sure if there's specific direction as part of this or a separate item. But we had given direction to staff to clear the easements of obstructions, which translated to removing fencing that was there and removing trees that may or may not have been able to stay. And leaving it where it's open and accessible now where it wasn't before. And that's a problem that needs to be addressed no matter what. Because now we've created a problem. So that's the first part. The second part is that, one path forward would be to sell to the residents if they were willing to buy. There's questions about how that would transpire, and that requires legal input. But the second part would be, what if all of the residents don't want to buy? The other path forward would be to explore having an agreement with the landowners, permitting them to use the properties without constructing anything. On the not being allowed to construct, they could use it, but they could not construct, obviously. And the third path forward would be to just put everything on hold, with the exception of the first items that I talked about, fencing, preventing people from accessing where they couldn't before. And actually hold some community meetings where we get input from all the residents in the area that would include the equestrian and would include all of the interested parties, and see what ideas come up from that that might be palatable to the board. So this is not an easy situation, and there's no hard and fast. I think we have to do our due diligence, and I think we as a board have not had a comprehensive discussion about it. While it was discussed for the mobility plan for the equestrian trail, the actual details and implementation and what we were looking at. And I think that that was part of what these residents wanted to know, is what exactly are we doing? What is our plan? What is the timeline? What does it look like? Where is that trail going to go if we're building a trail? Are, motorized vehicles going to be able to, access that? There's all kinds of things. And we really have not had those discussions. And I think we would be doing a disservice if we did not explore all of that and have input from all of the board and the community that's impacted. So having said that, I think there's a couple of things there that potentially we could give direction to staff to explore, but without spending a lot of money. Because one of the things is, if we were going to sell, we're required by statute to have an appraisal done. So how much does that appraisal cost? That's something that we need to know. And then some of the other issues, if we were to go that path, I think we do need to know that. And then if we were to go the path of having an agreement with the landowners to sort of maintain status quo, what does that look like? And what would that agreement, what cost?
Right, and what liability?
Right. And I think liability could be addressed in that agreement. I don't think that it's a all or nothing situation. I think we have liability right now that never existed before. So, and then the third part, hosting some community meetings. I know we're really busy. We're in the summertime. And so, putting that together is going to be delayed, or, but I do think we need to be having an in-depth conversation about it. And at the end of the day, we may end up saying, yes, the best path forward is to dispose of it. But then we're going to be in a situation of what the costs are and what the value is, and whether or not the residents, all of them, want to buy it. But there's some options for properties, for some of the property that perhaps the adjacent residents don't want to buy. So those are all things that I think we can explore in those discussions. And what I don't like is the board not discussing this publicly. I think that leaves a lot of angst for the residents. We can't talk about it as a board outside of the board meeting. So that's my opinion.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to explore all of that, and I think we could broaden the direction to look at different paths. At least this way we can get started with it, and then potentially, as time permits, maybe set up a meeting, like you said, with the residents. I think that would be great. But I'd like to get this ball, so to speak, rolling with something, because I know the residents are, anxious to move things forward, and all of these things are going to take time. So if we could just get started, Mr. Hanson?
No, I
Oh,
just wanted to.
I'm sorry.
So why you were done, so you know.
Oh, yeah. So, and just get the ball rolling. So if we need to broaden this, I'm absolutely, fine with that. So, Mr. Hanson?
Yeah, just quickly. So number one, it's 100 and just over 140 acres in total. So for this property, and staff, as far as the planning goes, we're not doing it anyway right now, but we are going to be installing fence along the roadway sections, not on the interior, along the property lines.
Block.
But people will not be able to get in there. It will have a gate, a lock gate that, of course, will be able to access public safety or FPL. So we are working on getting the materials and getting that in quickly. So
Great,
that
thank you.
perspective, we're working on that. And then the only thing I would add is there are certain properties along this corridor that I think have some strategic value that the board may not want to sell or give up. Doesn't mean we have to do anything with it. I just think you may want to hold on to it for a little while.
Ben?
And I agree with that assessment. I think one of the other things that the board needs is a full inventory, if you will, street by street in each section. What is there? Because are there fences there right now? What currently exists in each section? I think we need to know that. I mean, I got to see some of it, not all of it, and I drove around. I was surprised to see that we're stockpiling material and have been since for the past 3 years.
I think they can stop.
I was told by the residents that it started 3 years ago. So,
No, it's stuck for a while. It's months.
okay. Well, that is something that probably the board's not aware of. And it is something that we need to discuss moving forward regardless. So a full inventory of the status of all of that. Because I don't know what the other board members know or don't know, or if any of you have gone out and looked at it. But if you haven't, I know that the residents were very pleasant. We had a great discussion, lots of ideas thrown around. And I think first and foremost, they want to be a part of the discussion. They want to know what we're doing. And obviously they have some preferences too. And I think that we can come to an agreement that's a win-win for the residents, but also for the district. But we have to have these discussions, and I don't know where you all are. So have any of you gone out or?
No, I went out there and I was looking over when we first even discussed this, being the district property needing to be cleared. I think it was Mary or Frank I mentioned. I said, this is it's going to be a mess. And I think I was sitting there when the first got up, and I'm glad I'm not sitting there right now for this. I remember this one when it first came up, and I agree with the residents and stuff, but one of my first questions to Burgess was going to be how soon, can we clean up the messes that are there that they're, not used to seeing, and getting the gates back, which you answered. But like you said, we haven't sat down and had a comprehensive, so just reclaiming it as ours for now and clearing out any liabilities. I get that, from staff and legal and everything, but, yeah, I would, be very concerned as a resident if this just came through and started, things getting torn down or open, no gates put back up, there's a lot of four-wheelers and dirt bikes out there and, in the mischief. And so, no, but yeah, going forward and, everyone's just saying, oh, just a horse trail. There's a lot of misinformation. So it does, I hate to suggest another meeting, but like you said, it's to be a meeting or two or three, just to get everybody on board, and like we just said, there's some, strategic areas that would benefit us. So especially items. Yeah. Where did the 29 acre come from? Because in the agenda,
I'm not.
I was gonna say, 'cause that seemed, when I read it, I'm like, well, just a piece. I thought we were selling just a piece or something.
Okay,
What is the total under it? 44.
No. Chair,
Yeah,
I
I'm
just pulled up
right now.
on through here and the cross section is 180 foot, 185 foot wide easement. According to Google Earth and Papa, it's 7,000 feet long from 60th to Persimmon. That gives me about 1.2 million square feet, which is 29 acres.
So it is.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's not. I was provided an estimate of 6 million. So
Yeah, so you glance at it on Papa, you just assume it's larger than 29 acres.
yes, it's just 29 because if you do the math on the lot
Yeah.
on either side of those, it doesn't add up to 140. That's why I was verifying it here right now.
We have a survey of the property, a detailed survey of the property, including any, at least at the time the survey was done about a year ago. Any improvements that were on the property are highlighted on that survey. It was an aerial identified. So the acreage is verified.
29.
It's 29 acres, roughly.
That's a lot more than that.
You're very welcome.
If I could have, how many residents on both sides of those power lines living there?
I'm not sure without going and checking because
Mhm.
some of them actually own on both sides of
Yes,
the
it-
power lines.
Mhm. And when you,
There's only a few that actually don't own on both sides of the power line.
right, and when you go through Papa, just the boundaries of these easements and things they're pretty, pretty squirrely, if that's an appropriate word for this. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of research to do this. As far as having a lot of meetings, here we are. How many people are here? 25 people, and this is the hot topic on the agenda here. So I'm not certain we need to have a lot of meetings on this. I think we already know what the residents want for the most part who live there. As far as the equestrian people, I have spoken to some of them, and I don't believe, unless somebody comes up and says, no, I'm wrong, I don't think the equestrian people are actually that interested in this from what I've spoken to. I would like to look into selling the property back to the owners. That's my first initial thought on this. Then we got to look at taxes. Are there back taxes on this and things like this? I don't know. So no, okay. No, okay, good.
Because we own it, so we won't.
Okay.
pay taxes.
All right, good. That's where I'm at with this right now. So more researching on it seems that from what I've heard, I know Mr. Sweet has spoke a lot. It seems like the residents are interested in that property. So, and whatever liability that we can lessen with the district sounds good to me.
Maybe what, 25, 26 roughly? Property owners,
26.
just off Papa, roughly.
Okay.
So we're looking for consensus.
I'm still. So And I understand what you're saying, Rich. I think that the residents that are living along there are the ones that are most impacted. But when we're dealing with district property, especially the circumstances that we got this property, it was a bad deal to begin with. None of us were here, right? It was a bad deal. We got a chunk of land that we can't do anything with, essentially. So in exchange for money that was owed for us in 1999, obviously value. To think that we're going to get anywhere near what's in here with inflation and what was owed to us, that's not what the appraised property value is going to be. The appraised property value is probably going to be somewhere around, in my opinion, and I'm not an appraiser, but just looking at what's on Papa, for example, it's $3,000 an acre. And then we have all our costs that are involved. And I know that there's some ideas, Mr. Sweet has some ideas about how to absorb some of those costs where the district isn't responsible for it. And I think that that's great. One of the questions that I have is in terms of some of the strategic locations that we would want to keep. Again, that's where we need to actually be discussing details, because what if some of those locations that we would like to keep, I think, that needs to be fully disclosed. But what if one of those residents also wants to buy? And in all fairness, we need to be discussing all of those things. And I have spoken to quite a few equestrian, and there is a mixed discussion about it. But there is some interest in potentially having, it's not going to be a trail that it's a bridle path. It's not going to be a trail that you're going to, race down, because you can't. You wouldn't be able to do that. It would be very unsafe. But it would there's some potential to make something in that area for those residents. Do we need all of it? Probably not. So those are the things that I kind of like to explore. And, maybe there's a possibility where we have an agreement with the landowner. We sell it to them and we have an agreement. I don't know. There could be a couple of different pathways that we can go about this. And then, if we also knew which landowners are not interested in buying and which ones are interested, then that might help us in terms of the strategic locations. Are we going to be in a conflict there? So again, there's a lot more to discuss, and I've had lots of conversations with Mr. Sweet and with the residents, and I fully support their concerns. But again, I don't think it's an all or nothing solution at this point. I think we have to do our due diligence and discuss all of the different things. And then it's all transparent, and nobody can say, this wasn't on your agenda. We couldn't find what you discussed. You just went and did that in the dark night. No, we had meetings, we had discussions. We opened it up for input from everyone. And ultimately, whatever our decision is, we fully vetted it to get there. So that's my only concern.
So with this direction, we can, like I said, we can broaden it up. And first we have to see what's even viable to do out of all the options. And that's got to be the first step, because we could sit here and talk about, we want to do this, this, and this, and then only come to find out that there's a statute or something, there's a legal reason why we can't do A, B, or C, and we can do D, E, or F. So I feel like instead of just having this broad meeting, we need to kind of focus in a little bit on what we are able to do, and then have these options, and then meet with all the residents, or as many that are willing to come out and meet with us. And in the meantime, Mr. Sweet has been having a lot of conversations with a lot of these residents as well. So he can be a fantastic liaison, because he's right there and he's been talking to all the residents. So I think this is a really good start to have the staff come back and what legally we can do. and then have a meeting at that point.
So I'll make the motion to direct staff to review district options to sell 29 acre parcel under the FPL transmission lines from Persimmon to 60th to the adjacent landowners. 2, to have an agreement with the landowners. And 3, to pause and have meetings with the community to then move forward.
Very good. So that's,
Or I
that,
guess that's ABC.
so we're gonna have consensus. Is everybody in agreement with that? Yes, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me,
It's-
it's about to argue, what was the C, the third one?
Well, the C is to pause.
But we're not gonna pause the fencing,
No,
right? No, we're gonna put the gates back up.
we're not
right.
gonna do anything else. Staff has already paused it.
Right.
And they're
So basically just have meetings.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So C is
So
to
just
have
the end.
a meeting, to have a meeting with the community after,
having the information.
right, have the information gathering with staff and legal. And Mr. Sweet or whomever, whatever residents, I know Mr. Sweet is speaking for several of them, whomever else wants to come out. It'll be a lot easier if we can have one point person dealing with staff, but I understand if others want to be involved, of course, they're welcome to be. We're not going to stop anybody from being involved with that. This is very important.
The second thing to explore is an agreement with the landowners rather than selling.
Yeah.
And really the third item is regardless.
Bring it all
of what
back.
To do, yeah.
Right, well, we would do that anyway, so that's kind of a given. So that's our consensus. You got that, Scarlett? And we don't have a button yet for consensus, so.
There's- Needs to be clear.
Well, I. Do the chair,
Scarlett does that on her end.
hold on one sec.
Let her just catch up. So you missed it early. So we're repeating everything because the people on Zoom can't see this yet, what people in the audience are seeing. So we're saying it at this point and having it on there, especially until we all get used to They
Raise their
can't-
hand to speak.
on Zoom, yes.
So is the.
But they're
number
not
here for the
seeing-
board?
Yes, this is for the board
Okay.
only. This is just
So
for us.
If we all press cancel, then that will disappear.
Then what would
I don't have a cancel.
Did anybody request to speak and got a cancel up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna hit cancel though.
Just mine's different, so I don't see what you see. Scarlett's typing this all in, so now this is
So-
very clear and it's up
so-
on the board.
All right.
Can you see that?
Can y'all see the,
Yeah, it will, once we get used to it, yeah.
can y'all see the amended? Thing, is
Yes.
it showing up on yours at all?
Yes.
Okay. So I made
Yes.
the first thing, the A, and
Amended
then
to
you added
add
on the B and the C.
agreement with landowners and then have a meeting with residents. Perfect. Okay, very good.
So
All
we
right.
have consensus?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to 7.2. For not on a consensus. We'll have plenty of public comment when we have our meeting once, plus the public will be, can reach out to any of us and Mr. Hanson as well. So please don't anybody feel like they can't do that. You're more than willing. If you want to speak through Jay, that's perfectly fine too. If you want to contact any of us directly, please feel free to do that at any time. Because we do want to hear from you. All right, item 7.2, consider formal solicitation RFP for employee health benefits and medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, life insurance, and AD&D for calendar year 2026.
Oh.
Mr. Hanson?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, I believe Ms. Heiser has something to address the board and then we'll let
Thank you.
Mark go ahead and start Mr. Rodriguez.
I apologize. Good evening. I'm actually going to let Mr. Rodriguez take the lead on this.
Thank you. Good evening. Mark Rodriguez, benefits consultant with the Gehring Group. The reason why I'm before you today is because after talking with your staff and reviewing your current plans, we're recommending to go out to RFP this year. There's a couple of reasons why we're recommending that. One, you have several lines of coverage that are up for renewal. medical, dental, vision, life, and EAP. We figure since there's so many lines, this is a good opportunity to see if there's any opportunity out there to get maybe some kind of package discount from the carriers. So that's one reason. Two, because of market conditions, we are seeing with our 10-1 renewal clients some higher than usual renewals. We expect that that would hold true for you as well. So we think it's a good idea to get out there and do a market check to make sure that your renewal is the best deal that is available to us, and we can compare it to the other quotes that we'll get in. The timeline for this is attached actually in your packets. We're looking to release this RFP around August, mid-August. We would then receive all of the proposals from the carriers and go review that with your staff around the end of September. And then the goal would be to have everything wrapped up for presentation to the board for approval at the October meeting.
And
Very
just for
good.
historical data, the last time we did an RFP was in 2021 with effective date of due. That's when we switched from Blue
Right.
Cross.
So that's
to
another reason. It
Cigna.
has been a few years since
Yeah.
we did that.
And historically, Cigna has been very good. We
Mhm.
had 8% to 10% increases.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you watching out for our tax dollars. Thank
course.
you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So, traditionally, when we go out for RFP, we actually have a discussion about what changes we'd like to do. And I wasn't aware that this was coming up, but do you have any recommendations on where we can cut some expenses that we have, maybe changing the plans that we're offering? Because I know the last time we went out, we added the card
Yep,
and the match.
yep.
And can you give us some numbers on where we're at with that? Is that being utilized? Is that costing us more money than saving us?
Mhm.
And the other thing is that, it became that the PPO was cheaper or the same cost.
Yep.
But if we restructure things a little bit, is there a way that we can save some more costs so that the district's not having to absorb all of this? Because that one thing I say every time we go out for bid is that at some point, this is not sustainable.
Right.
And we need to look at that.
Mm. So when we do our evaluation, those kind of permutations will be part of that process when we put the evaluation together.
Okay, and so I also know that in the past you've been given direction to focus in a certain area. Is there a certain area that you've been given direction or, because I think, we need to know from the board, is there a consensus that we look at restructuring things so that we can save some money? Beyond just, the 12% increase,
Mhm.
this is just not sustainable.
Mhm. No, we haven't had that instruction yet, but I mean, we're open to, exploring any and all alternatives. So, if you want to have another meeting to do that, we're happy to attend to do that as well.
Yeah, but, because there's no data included here, so we have no idea what the current structure is, who's on what plan, how much it's costing us currently. What kinds of things are we looking at? When you say that you're seeing 12% increases,
Mhm.
I think it's good to have that data.
Yeah, unfortunately, because you're a smaller, fully insured group, we don't get claims information. So we don't get anything really until the renewal comes out. And even at that point, it's very limited information. It's really only like if you have catastrophic claims, we'll get information on that. But other than that, we don't get a whole lot.
So, but we'll get it when we have the RFP, if they respond to the RFP, correct?
No, it'll just be plan designs and quotes.
So the plan design is the key.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put an RFP out and you say, this is what we want, the Cadillac of plans, you're going to get a response only on the Cadillac of plans.
Right. So usually what we do is, yep,
What I'm interested in is that we're not just looking at the Cadillac plans, that
Mhm.
we're going to get option A, B, or C
yes,
for a path forward.
exactly. So usually what we do is the way we structure the bid that we put out is we do include your current plans as they are, right? And we ask everyone to quote that. This way we have kind of an apples to apples comparison based on how things are right now. And then we do also ask them for alternative plan designs that would save you some money as well.
And I
And then-
recall that from sitting over there, the last time you guys did this, that was brought forward.
Requested that.
Yeah.
So.
Mhm.
And
And-
the other thing that I'll note is that even on the PPO plan, there is how they calculate your out-of-pocket amount is significantly different than the way it used to be done. So for example, your prescriptions are no longer applied to your out-of-pocket amount. And those things start to add up if you're somebody who has medication on a, regular basis, and that you have to take. So, on a PPO plan, typically, what we had prior with, I think it was Blue Cross Blue Shield, I don't recall, pretty much every penny that I spent applied to my out-of-pocket amount and deductibles. This current plan is not structured that way. So the district's paying more money, but the user, all of our employees are also paying more money. So we're not only looking at an increase in that, but it's just not,
On both ends.
yeah. So,
And through the chair and the healthcare in general, it's like with Cigna, we have had, like at the beginning, we had a lot of claims that came back and with Cigna in general, we have like certain MRIs that get denied because you want to go through 14 different
Mhm.
options before they approve an MRI.
Which doesn't
With
seem
Blue
very
Cross Blue
cost
Shield, they
effective.
might say, yeah, go ahead, do that. And the upfront costs, and Mark, you can correct me anytime because I'm definitely not an insurance professional, but with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they might say, yeah, go ahead, do this, and they approve it. But then at the end of the year, your cost will jump up and they give you a 30% increase or a 15% increase versus a 8% increase. So it
but we didn't
always,
have that happening before. So,
it can happen either which way. I mean, insurance is, yeah.
so then we have to look at ways to cut it.
Yeah.
So, and this is where I'm going with this,
Yeah.
is that.
Well, and that's with the RFP. I mean, they will give you different quotes, and that's one of the things like we were asking with who is utilizing different plans. With the high deductible plan, we do not have as many on the high deductible plan. The ones that are utilizing it, I think we have currently 5 employees on the plan. Most still utilize the comparable HMO plan, not the PPO plan. So maybe that is something to look at. Do we not want to offer the high deductible plan? But
Yeah, I mean, in
that can-
addition to, other options, the other thing that going through this process provides us is leverage, right? We can leverage what we're seeing in the market against what we're seeing with Cigna.
Right, but not to belabor this, but in the past, when we've gone out for RFP and we've gotten responses, this is the package, this is the package, and we don't have a choice of cutting or whatever. And what I'm interested in, like, for example, if we had to cut something somewhere, how much is it costing us to provide dental care? How much is it costing us to provide vision? How much are those things extra to the district? How much is the life insurance extra to the district? And then I think the board needs to have a discussion about, this isn't necessarily something that we need to provide, and it's not going to be a catastrophic event if we cut this out. Those are the kinds of things I wanted to discuss, because I've been on this board since 2016. This is not the first time I've gone through this. I think it's probably the 4th. So, we need to really take a good hard look at this, because we end up keeping it for at least the next 2 to 4 years. And our costs are out of control. but so are our taxpayers. And so is each one of our employees. So we need to find a way to manage it a little bit better and make it more economical.
But we have to be careful in that same respect, because if we're going to cut out certain things and then they have to bear the entire 100% burden of that cost of dental or eye or life insurance.
Absolutely,
So
that's
we
what
have
I
to
wanted to
weigh, we have to weigh, is there going to be a savings? Because in the end, it's going to end up more out of pocket for everybody too. So these are all things we really need to have included in that. But
Understood.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so Betty, if you could, can't, perfect. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion to,
You gotta clear out.
what is the motion? Oh, to direct Gearing Group to initiate the RFP process for employee health benefits options effective calendar year 2026 with the input of the board that we just had.
Yep.
That's my motion. Oh, I hit
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I don't see it yet. Oh, Michael. Okay, thank you. Do we have public comment on this, Scarlett? And if you haven't filled out a card yet and you want to speak, whether it's on an item, if it's on an item, get it in right away. If it's on a general public comment, please have it in before we start that agenda item. This is 7-2. No cards. Okay, all right, let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
isn't it?
I don't have a vote yet. Hang on. Okay, there we go. All right, all in favor. Please say it and press.
Aye.
I see that passes 4-0. Very good. Thank you. All right, we'll give Scarlett a second to catch up. And we're going to move on to 7.3, the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget. This is a motion to recess the adoption of the district's fiscal year 2026 budget to July 7th, 2025. So basically, we're going to have, yep, Burgess, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question on this? Typically, we don't have a motion to recess an
Yeah, I'm not
item.
quite
We
sure.
recess the meeting on that particular agenda item. So I'm just going with, I don't know, order.
Frank? Is there any reason why you put it on this way?
I believe that Ms. Viator had made a determination that there was a reason in the statute in terms of the dates. It had to be advertised or had to be heard by a certain date, and we had to backdate it basically to recess it, assuming it would be heard at this meeting, and then just recess it to July.
But isn't
To
it,
satisfy statutory requirements.
isn't it the meeting that we're recessing for that particular item, not the way that this is worded is what I'm having an issue with.
Through the fire, no, they actually did research into this, and the reason why we're asking for this is due to board member availability at regular meetings. So the statute and our charter requires that the budget for the district be approved on a regular board meeting date, not a special meeting. So by doing it this way, it allows you put it on tonight and you're saying you're moving it or basically recessing the adoption to July 7th.
Is July 7th a regular meeting or
Tonight's a regular meeting.
we're rescheduling it?
Right, that's why they have to. Right.
All right. And are all the board members going to be here for the July 7th meeting?
As
Yes,
far as I'm,
yes. And if any of them try not to be, we're tracking them down and kidnapping them.
yes, so keep that in
Okay.
mind.
All right, so I'll make the motion
Okay,
to recess adoption of the district fiscal year 2026 budget to July 7th, 2025.
Okay, hold on. Did you cancel your speaking? Okay. All right, I'm looking for a second, please.
Second.
All right, we have a first by Supervisor Argue, second by Supervisor Johnson. Do we have any public comment, Scarlett? 7.3, nothing. Okay, no public comment. Let's call the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, see that passes 4-0. Thank you. All right, other governmental updates, staff updates. Oh, yes. What
Did
happened?
y'all vote?
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't press hard enough. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay. We'll get it. We'll get it. Bear with us. All right, we're good? We're good.
Okay.
Okay. All right, back to other governmental updates. 8.1 staff updates. Mr. Hanson?
Yes, I just wanted to give a few quick updates with other governmental. You need me to pause or you good?
Oh, no, we're
No,
good.
okay, you looked at me, so I wasn't sure. So next week, the Palm Beach County Commission will be voting on the selection of the consultant for the transportation planning. Yeah, the 18th, that is what is their zoning meeting. So they were supposed to vote on it earlier this week, but they moved it to next week. And I just want to remind everyone that this is important because they're looking at all the roads, including the roads in our district. So whether they're city roads, district roads, county roads, or state roads, they're going to be looking at all of them. And the purpose of this is from the county's perspective, at least the former county administrator, who's Baker's perspective. She was doing this because she wants to go to the voters, or she wanted to go to the voters, and I believe there are 4 county board members that want to go to the voters as early as next year for a county transportation surtax. One of the important things that's a little different about this is as once they select who the consultant is, we will be part of that process. What exactly our role will be, not sure until the consultant comes on board, but we definitely will be sitting at the table. So, long-term, we need to start thinking about where this is going and paying attention to what's being said at meetings. Because another aspect of this is the fact that neighboring cities have been pushing this for, well over a year to get the county to do this. So, this is something that, we definitely need to participate in and make sure the board is aware so you can make strategic decisions as the process is moving forward. So it can be shared.
Very good. Thank you.
And then I'm sure you all saw the report, but next week, I believe on Monday, the 16th, they're doing the interview of the 4 candidates to replace Ms. Baker. So
Yep.
Be interesting. And if they can't select someone, they will go out on the national search.
There, they moved it.
What happened to the 5th? Wasn't there 5 interviews that they were doing?
I think.
Take one, yeah, one.
Dropped out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 3 county and 1 outside. And of course, we're not going to be here, so.
Yes. And then as far as Tallahassee with our legislative appropriation, I just spoke before the meeting with Ms. Atkinson, and they still have not considered water or ag legislative appropriations. She's hoping it will happen tomorrow. But
Fingers
as
crossed.
soon as I know, I will be letting each of you know.
Thank you.
And then also, I'm sure you're aware that Town of Waxahachie Groves had a board member resign at the last meeting. Last night, they picked Todd McClendon to replace. And he was a former town council member let's say 6 years ago, something like that. So they did select him last night. And also their attorney, Torsivia Donlin, also put in their notice to no longer represent them.
Thank you.
Just to that, going back to the county administrator, Lisa, I don't know if Lisa or Pia, there's public meetings and there's one, I think it's at the fairgrounds. We have to.
No, it's at the convention center.
Convention center.
16, I believe it's.
Yeah, so they're gonna interview them and then they're gonna have their, what they call like a meet and greet at the convention center. And then the next day, right, they'll be voting.
So the reason why I bring that up is that the public is invited to go to that and, do your own interview or ask your own questions.
I actually had one last night as well.
Yeah.
Gervonta Edwards had one last night for
Yeah.
everybody.
So the whole point is that the public has an opportunity to get to know and provide then any comments at the county meeting and preferences or what have you. So
5:30 PM, June 16th at Palms County Convention Center.
okay,
Okay.
right when
And they-
everybody's coming home from work.
And they will try to also allow call-ins or like a Zoom, but I don't know the exact details of that.
Yeah, it's gonna be live too, so if you can't make it, you can always watch it on channel 20. All right.
Well, I believe that they're actually setting up because people would be driving home.
For an actual
Like I
Zoom.
learned earlier, yeah.
Good, very good. All right, Michael, do you have anything? Yes.
That's.
Okay. Also, I think everybody needs to pay attention, very close attention. In August, they're going to be having their first workshop on converting us from septic to sewer. So this is something that all the residents need to get involved with, especially out here with our larger lots. It's very important. This is going to be quite expensive and there's a lot of issues at stake here. So please, August, look for that workshop. They haven't set the specific date yet, but I'm sure it'll be up there soon. So this is something we want to pay very close attention to. Okay.
To that point, the district has an agreement that was a partial assignment of easements for the purpose of running water. There was an interlocal agreement with the county specifically about that. As part of that agreement, it said that the county would not force Indian Trail residents, the acreage, on sewer unless we were deemed by the health department or the state as what's the wording? Like our water. Do you remember that? Yeah. Here.
I remember the agreement, but not the word you're referring to.
Okay, well, there's specific wording in there regarding that. In addition to that, the landowners, as part of that agreement, the landowners' rights have not been extinguished, shall we say. So I would appreciate it if you could send that agreement to the whole board. And as well, if you can post it on our website and on our Facebook page and share that with our residents. Because the district, when they made that agreement, did try to protect the residents from this happening. And it is going to be very important that the Acreage Landowners Association and the residents in our community get involved on this issue. Otherwise, it's going to have a significant financial impact on us. just the numbers that for water is $18,000. And I'm not sure if that includes hooking it up now. But
And
yeah,
the cost of the
so
water in and
so
out.
that's just for it going past your house for water lines. And if you're putting septic in, you have to put county water in. This is not something that has been supported by our community and our interlocal agreement. I think, I want to hear from our attorneys in that regard. If the county tried to push it, it would be a violation of our interlocal agreement, in my opinion. So I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, if you could get us everybody a copy as soon as possible.
Ma'am, I'm familiar with the agreement.
Thank you, Frank.
As well as the opinion, please, about if the county were to try to force it.
Yes, there is a provision that prohibits forced conversion.
Okay.
Through the chair, I believe you wanted to bring up the strategic planning from Westlake since Ms. Farrell wasn't here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, they started their strategic planning. I don't really have a lot of the details. There was some rumors that I don't want to repeat because they are just rumors. But they are working on their strategic planning and what the residents want to see. They want their town center built. Amongst other things, they want more paths, they want more uniformity. I don't know the extent of what they've discussed about 60th, but we've all heard before that they don't like it and they want it 2 lanes, and that's just not appropriate or feasible to have it go from 4 with a suicide lane to 2 and then back to 4 with the suicide lane. But this is all just part of it. Their government was not involved in this meeting. It was strictly residents and the planner. I don't know when their next meeting is. Of course, that's not my assignment for Westlake, but I did happen to catch some of it, so I'm happy to share that. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I really don't want to go into a lot of detail on this because there's not really a lot to say other than GL is moving forward with certain parts of their development order, which the county had to come up with the alignment options. We were not given the opportunity to provide any input, although there is an effect. So I've been talking to staff about that and legal in regards to that, as well as some of the residents in Tall Pines. And I went to the county and asked them to please ensure that we are at the table for the rest of these talks as they move forward and what their buffer is going to be and all of that. But I don't want to get everybody to get into a panic because this has been going on for so long, and we don't know what's coming in the future, or we can guess what's coming in the future. So this is just something we really need to keep an eye on and make sure. And that's why I went on record at the county to ensure that we are at the table for this, because this is in our district and these are our residents, whether or not it's an active unit, it's still within our boundaries. And it's important for us to have a say and be involved in what's going on over there. So they were very agreeable to it and assured me that our staff would be involved from here on in. And that's all I have. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, moving on to item number 9, public input. Scarlett, do we have cards?
Yes.
Okay. What is this? Why do I have a vote up?
Well,
We don't need that. Okay. Again, it's a work in progress. Just bear with us. New tricks, old dogs. And eventually, you're going to be able to do this from your phone or a tablet as well. We're always going to have the paper cards because not everybody's comfortable doing it electronically, but it will be an option. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you say you had anything. All right, hold on 1 second. We're going to backtrack for a second.
Just for 1 sec. So on top of everything else that's going on, I think it's really important. We had this small discussion. It's been postponed to the next meeting. I'm not understanding why, but I am working with the ALA to come up with a series of different types of events that we will be hosting, and we'll put together a schedule. And there's some ideas that. Oh, this is.
Not.
Well, it says board member update, so,
But that's for government. So
Okay.
you're looking at,
all right.
you want to talk back,
Well, anyway, that's my.
13.
is
Okay.
That,
So that's your item 13. Okay.
as I
got
always have, so, yeah,
it.
thank you.
Patience. We'll get there. So now you said it. It's good. Okay, very good. And thank you for that. So, okay. Back to public comment.
Sharon Wait.
Sharon Waite, 15058 75th Lane North, right here in Loxahatchee. I'm glad that that issue about the sewer came up. I was right in the thick of it when it was all going on, the fake cancer scare and all of that dog and pony show that went on. I was also at a meeting that Bevan Baudet was at, not just the one here at the district, that the county had recruited from Central Florida. My husband lived in Central Florida when he first did his initial baloney, draining several lakes up there to feed Tallahassee, feed Jacksonville, drained the lakes dry. Bevan was part of that. He instigated all of that to feed Jacksonville. Then they recruit him here. And then they spend $60 million buying out the Mecca brothers. And then Bevan goes to another venue that I was at, sitting this far from him with his back to me, telling that board that the acreage was going to pay back that $60 million. And now here they are again trying to pull the same stunt. Because now, what's his name? The former, not Virginia, I know Virginia. Weissman. I don't know if he hired Bevan or somebody else hired him, but they all want to clean up on us and make us pay back what the only ones that won were the Mecca brothers. They cleaned up real well. So anyway, the dirty at the high school, the dirty canal water that these people from Belle Glade and all over were dragging in gallon jugs to show that our wells were unfit. They tried to condemn us then. I think we're going to have the same effect on them again as those of us that went to Tallahassee, those of us that went on our own dime and fought that back then. We're going to do it again, and we're going to win because that agreement stands. And anyway, what else was that? Oh, do we still have a lobbyist?
Mhm.
And what are we paying him? Well, whatever they are and whoever they are, how much are they? I'd like to know, because that's part of the budget. And if they're not helping us, we need to get rid of them.
Thank you. And I'd also like to point out, in regard to, the sewage, so the treatment plants aren't even properly cleaning. We hear time and time again how the fishermen are finding their fish with pharmaceuticals, loaded with pharmaceuticals. So I think that should be the first thing on their agenda, is getting the treatment plants corrected. And if you're going to send the water out to the ocean, don't pollute it, and don't pollute it with pharmaceuticals. So if they can show me that, they can get that done, doesn't mean I still support it, but I'd like to see that all happen first before they take away from us our clean water and our good water. How many times do you see boil water orders coming through for people on city and county water? So this is going to be a very important topic. So I really hope that the residents and the ALA get involved with this and really, really get into the conversation. Thank you. Scarlett.
Pia Scorin.
Pia Scorin, Orange Grove Boulevard. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Well, that was important too. I'd like to know if you guys can make the financial statements that you guys talked about tonight. Can you make that available to us? Maybe a handout or something? The same thing with the proposed budget, if somebody wants to stop in and get one at the office, or as a handout here when you're talking about it so we can see it. I don't know that you want to put it on the website, but if somebody wants it here, maybe we can do that. Just thinking that we ought to consider whether we should be using taxpayer dollars for staff salaries, planning and hosting community events. I think that's why ITID in the past partnered with the Acreage Landowners Association so that these things were run by volunteers and community members. And, you know, we appreciate staff support, but I think we should think that through a little bit before we start charging taxpayers for that. The widening of State Road 7 seems to be underway. They are surveying, putting flags out. The traffic to our neighborhood, if that happens before the State Road 7 extension, will destroy our roads. Please take a united stand. Please take a united stand. That shouldn't happen. I attended the last equestrian committee meeting, and I just wanted to thank them for their efforts. In spite of this controversial situation, it's important that we do support our equestrians. Commercial development, definite concerns about precedent. We see one property turn into commercial. Similar properties along Seminole Pratt are going to end up with the same situation. A lot of landowners are going to want to cash in on commercial. If they can, I think we need to be very, very cognizant and try not to let that happen. We need to be very careful about this live local. If we convert properties into commercial, they can become apartment complexes and high rises, and not good for our area. So we need to be very cognizant of that. And of course, gas stations are still a big issue with well water. And, you know, the one thing we have right now, and the reason we have it, the Acreage Neighborhood Plan, we need to support it. Because if we let them do that, we're in trouble. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pia, point of clarification. Your comment about State Road 7 and the widening, I wasn't clear on what should
It
not
looks like
happen.
they're already surveying that. They're going to widen that before they extend State Road 7. All of that traffic is going to come right through Orange Grove, Persimmon. Our road is already crumbling.
But I don't think on the TPA funding that's even funded right now. So,
Well, I think
yeah.
we need to be careful
We'll
because it
follow
looks
up
like
on
it's
it.
happening.
yeah,
The other thing I wanted to know.
it was
I'm
supposed to
sorry.
go all the way and be like one project.
Yeah, well, that would be great.
Okay.
I have one other question. The telephone poles you have on the agenda. Do you have a contact? We have a telephone pole we'd like to keep that no longer has any wires. Do you have a contact? I can call the office.
Do you want to, you mean you to keep it once they take it out, or?
There are no wires attached to it. They haven't come to take it out. So I want to ask them not to take it out.
Okay, I don't know if they have to. Yeah, Mr. Hanson will get with you on that. He'll provide that for you.
Okay, thank
Or
you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, yeah. Okay. Next.
Maria Elfring.
Hi.
I'm Maria. I live at 12970 58 Place North. I just want to bring up the 130th Canal. The easement on the canal. There used to be drainage from that easement that used to go into the canal. Right now, a few years ago, they took that drainage out. And now, whenever we have, heavy rain like we did yesterday, the rain, pulls up into that easement, which is quite wide. And then it goes over the edge onto the road. And then it comes into my yard. So I know it's just not my house, but I just happen to be the lowest one, I think, in the neighborhood. And now I not only get, you know, a flood from my own yard, but I get everybody down the street and from across the street. And it washes the road out, right in front of my house. It's probably dangerous, you know, when it gets really bad. Right now, we've been really dry, but there was a gully wash yesterday. I did last year email, you know, never got any response. But I think it's a problem and maybe it could be revisited. You know, if my yard floods, that's one thing, but I'm flooding from everywhere else at this point. It's coming down the road, it's coming off that easement. And the water is not clear, it's coming off from the road, so it's cloudy, I know where it's coming. So, you know, I just like it looked at,
Okay,
okay?
thank you. Mr. Hanson, will you look into that, please?
You said, I have a question. You said that we took the drainage out of.
Yeah, there used to be some drainage that was actually on that easement that went back into the canal, so.
When you say there was drainage, was it through a swale or was it a culvert or was it?
I think it was, they did just put some pipes in or something, but it used to drain back into the canal.
Okay. So,
And there wasn't a whole lot of them, but there was a few, and those few helped.
So maybe they're
But now they
just plugged up.
redid, you know, a few years ago, the road was like redone and they took everything out. Yeah.
yeah, all right.
So now, you know, when that
I
little
just wanted
easement
to,
overflows, it seems to just, it's right into my yard.
I just wanted to
Thank
understand what you.
Yeah, and it's always, if
Okay.
you look down the street, there might be little ones down the street, but a huge goal.
We'll have staff look into it.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Scarlett?
Carla Shackelford.
Hi, I'm Carla Shackelford, Loxahatchee. Forgive me if this has come up before. I'm somewhat new, but I had two pieces of constructive criticism for you. At the last meeting, I was one of multiple people who sat 3.5 hours to hear a 2-minute conversation. I had two suggestions. You can take a cue from Westlake, something I'd never thought I would say, and move the public input portion of your meeting to the front of the agenda. They actually have it in the front and the end, but no one's here at these meetings. You can also, when you see a lot of residents here, take a show of hands at the meeting, at the beginning of the meeting, because there was 24 people and we were all here for one of only 3 agenda items. And we all had to sit here at least twice as long as was necessary because of the ordering of the agenda. The other thing is I would like to ask that you not waste our tax dollars on useless security outside, not speaking about our finest here. I've been here 4 meetings. I've been wanted 1 time. That's a 75% failure rate that you're spending our tax dollars on. I happen to not carry when I come to public meetings, but if I was better at listening to my husband, I would always carry. Okay, and just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can't whip it out and start a commotion. And not only are they ineffective, they're sexist. The men let me through, the woman's the only one who wanted me. So.
Well, thank you for letting us know that.
Please get our money's worth if we're gonna spend the money on it.
Thank you. We're in here, so thank you for letting us know that, and we
Yes,
will
I mean, I assume
address that.
it for good
Yeah,
reason. so.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate the heads up.
Lisa Johnson.
Hi, I'm Lisa Johnson, Loxahatchee. I also wanted to talk about the police. I had asked a staff member about it, and they said that the reason that we have police here and wanting here is because guns were drawn on staff workers out in the field. So you guys are feeling threatened. I don't feel threatened here. I mean, we're very passionate, but we're not bringing guns. I think we're all safe. I don't know why we need so much, and it's costing us money. Then speaking about, other things that cost us money, Elizabeth, I like that, you're all for the community and you're like, we're a community. We need to do this for our community when it comes to the holiday things. But I didn't get from you is that what you're doing and what you want to do? Do these does the staff and the board that comes, do they volunteer or are they getting paid for their time? Because the ALA is volunteer based and definitely definitely could always use more volunteers from the residents and from the board and from the staff. I did want to mention though, I was a little taken back and I did want to say I was at the Halloween. I stood by the gate, the entrance into Citrus Park, and I watched and I was eyes and ears for parents and for everything for the police to report to Betty, we had 2 reporting people to go to if there was any incidences. Never saw an intoxication. I watched the parents with their children. I was there. I welcomed them to the park. I said goodbye to them when they left. They were so thrilled to have that open. And the police at the end told us there was absolutely no incidences except for one, which was a little something fell out of a tree onto a golf cart, not in the park. Amazingly, we did a great job, but I never heard you guys did a great job. We stayed late. We cleaned up that whole inside of the park. We supplied trash bags. Pia went home and got them. We hung them on the fence. We came back before it got light the next morning, just because if we missed some garbage. Because you know what, we wanted to be able, you guys to be able to say, we did a great job and you can do it again. So I just wanted to let you know, that, also, when it comes, just because I have a little background in this, going out to the ocean is a problem, yes, but deep well injections is where they're going with sewage these days. They clean it, deep well injections, look it up, and sooner or later, what's that going to affect? So we do have to be careful. I just wanted to mention real quick about ROs. Everybody's getting on a whole house RO systems. It does suck the water out of our table. You have to be really careful about that. It's not sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, I'm going to say thank you for all your hard work, but you already know that.
And the last one is an email that we received from Mr. Anthony Guadaline. He resides on Epsom Drive. I'm requesting that the board approve milling Cheatham Boulevard from Okeechobee Boulevard south to Harlina Drive west. Thank you in advance for your consideration.
Thank you. That's it?
That is it.
Okay, very good. All right. Item 10, 10-1 was deleted. 10-2, we're going to move to July so everybody can be here so we can go through this. So moving on to item 11, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as is? We voted that the agenda was good. So I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Okay,
Michael,
Click.
seconded by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
I see that passes 4-0. Presentations. Wait, I'm back at the beginning. Hold on a second. Where am I?
12 staff presentation.
Where am I?
I agree.
Hold on. 11. Sent staff presentations. There we go. 12-1.
So just,
Sorry, I was.
That's part of consent. Yeah.
Not, we're on each one of these.
No. Mr. Hanson?
Yes.
yeah, thanks. I was just waiting.
I know. Thank you.
So just quickly, at the last board meeting with the passage of the aggregate production, it was also part of it to bring forward a policy. We're working on that, and I'm going to have Mr. Robinson kind of go over it. Right now, it's approximately 30 pages, or getting close to 30 pages, which includes standard operating procedures, which some of those are really for administrative. Not necessarily, but we want to bring the whole package to the board so you get an idea. Of
Yeah,
how
I don't
serious
wanna-
We're taking
yeah.
this, but so Mr. Robinson, if you'd like.
Evening, board, members of the public, and feedback.
Basically, we took comments from the board and started to put together an SOP for the aggregate production. And originally, the concerns were hours of operation, truck routes, and such, which will all be incorporated into that. But digging into it even further, this is going to be a full encompassing SOP that when we move forward with the 640, it will encompass some aspects of that. So we don't have to go back into it again. And the more I get into it, it's like, oh yeah. So it's morphed into a big package. So it's going to be everything from health safety, the hours of operation, truck routes, everything's going to pull some of our policies that we already have from our employee handbook and other safety practices. Because the more I start looking into this, there's a lot to it, and I want to make sure that this is this endeavor, will carry itself forward into the future. Just a couple highlights, I've been going through with the SOP. It's going to outline all the safety protocols, open source pit mining, all the compliances with the district policies and industry standards. It's going to have the material testing in there, and also the provisions for the times of operations and noise, dust abatement. Everything's going to be in there. So originally I was like, oh, that's easy. It's going to be, 2 paragraphs. No, because we are going to do training. This is a specialized, what we're doing. And I want to make sure, like I said before, that everything is captured in here and brought back as one package, and I'll not have to piecemeal everything. So once I get everything situated with HR on incorporating some of our existing policies onto it, we'll give it to legal to do a quick one over, and then we'll bring it back to the board.
Very good. Thank you very much.
So does that include how we're going to compensate?
That is not going to be in the SOP. That is going to have to be calculated with the help of engineering and finance.
Okay,
So we're
that was-
looking at.
There's 2 parts to what I wanted.
Yes, I understand.
All right.
One was the SOP, the other part was that. So we've already had discussions with engineering on that, as well as finance of how we're going to break everything down.
All right. I appreciate you guys working hard on this. I know we've had a lot going on and it's a lot of work. I'm working on the Florida Association of Special Districts Policy Manual, so I sympathize with you because it is not fun, especially, when you're trying to look back on, this is what the bylaws said, and this is how we actually operate, and this is how we should be operating. So it's a lot of work, especially when you've got to consider a lot of different inputs. So I appreciate you working on it. And I would appreciate that if it is going to be on the next agenda, that we get it,
Well in
before
advance.
more than a week in advance to take a look at it if it's 40 pages long, just so that we can.
So far.
Yeah. So, just so we have adequate time to review it, and maybe you're not going to have it for the next meeting. Maybe it goes to the August agenda, and I'm okay with that. But as long as we have a commitment that we're coming forward with this and that we're thinking about it and doing it and not, not doing it. And I know you guys are working on it, so.
We're not going to pencil with this in any way. And part of that is you're working through the FASD handbook. I want to make sure there's no conflicts within that as what we're proposing, that it goes against any of our current district policies.
Right, as well as you've got to consider Florida, South Florida water management and statute.
Everything is encompassed in that, and as well as Mesa, because we're going to be training those crew members as part of that too, even though we don't have to comply with OSHA at Mesa, but it's definitely specialized. So it was all encompassed into the budget. because I
Basically
wanted
best
this.
management.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank
All the
you.
BMPs, everything within that.
Good work. Thank you.
Just quickly, we were planning on bringing the financial part separate to the SOPs. 'Cause we're- Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll be on that.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
That's all I have
All right,
for once.
excellent. All right. Michael, supervisor business, anything? Nothing? Nothing? Betty, you said yours. Did you have anything else besides that?
I can repeat it if you
No,
wish.
no, we're good. It's all on Zoom. Anybody can go back and listen. But
Let me
no,
just
I'm
put one more plug in there. The ALA is gonna be supercharged. We have a lot of big issues to deal with in our community. And we want all of the board members to get involved and to help, with, getting the word out and, informing our community. You know, the unfortunate part, I love our community, but the unfortunate part about it is that we're so spread out trying to reach people in our community, and Sharon Waite, God bless you. She has for so many years, she goes door to door and she tries to get people, and she has done this for years. And I do know when she says that she's going to be on this, I know that she's going to be on this. So I hope, Sharon, that, you know, we can all coordinate our efforts together, and that, you know, we may not always see eye to eye on everything, but we really need to bring our community together because we have these hot button issues that we need to stand together on. And I'm sorry? Yes, ma'am. Let's do it. So that's my plug, again, for the ALA, but also for the community and for the board. You know, we welcome everybody to get involved. And, you know, if you have some ideas of something that you want to do and you want to take charge on, then great, let's do that. I think it's not one person, it's going to be all of us that work together to make this happen. So thank you.
That's right. And the more unified we are, the more unified we get the community. So I think that's critical. Excuse me. All right. I think that was all I had, was my government updates. Yeah. All right. Well, item 14, receive and file. Are we doing a motion? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Okay. Do I have a motion to receive and file?
Yeah, I just.
Oh,
It's,
I don't
it's
see
a
it.
motion for all of them, right?
Yeah, but I don't see it. Hang on.
It's the. It's
You
the
hit your
executive
motion
director. It said the executive director's report is forthcoming and I don't see it, so I guess we're not receiving and filing it, or did you didn't give it, okay.
Okay, so we're
Can I
gonna,
amend my
yeah.
motion? Or,
I don't even see the motion on here yet. Did you press your button?
yeah, and Mike has already seconded it.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Through the chair, it's the assistant executive, because
Oh.
and what we've been doing is when I do my report, I just have it given, so in case you guys don't get to that back up, we make sure we hit what we need to with the board.
I just want to make sure that the record reflects that we
Yeah.
didn't receive one.
Hang on.
Sometimes it's on the agenda, but then we amend it, so.
And I'd like to add, I know Raquel is gone, but okay, well, she can hear me. That report that she's doing, the financial report, this is what I was asking for when I was treasurer. She went above and beyond that. So I just want to thank her because this is,
But did
Yeah.
you think the last meeting?
well,
We're
for
gonna do it.
this is the, basically the treasurer's report. Because she was busy doing the ERP, she didn't get
Oh, right.
to do it as she would like to. So
I don't have it either, so.
this is, oh, it was in the backup, so I don't know why
It's not in
you
my
don't
book.
have it.
So.
I'm sorry, Ms. Aguirre, I will.
You're in so much trouble. I just want to say thank you that your financial report is absolutely amazing. And it's above and beyond what I had asked for 2 years ago. So thank you for bringing that to us and to the public so they could see where their tax dollars are going. I think it's so critical. It was attempted previously and it was kind of stumbled through. but this is again above and beyond. So thank you very much. Back to work. Get back to work. One question, is there a resident correspondent that, because we're not seeing, we can, there's none. Because it says, expressing gratitude to district staff. So I just like to put that out there because it's so often that, staff is like, oh, they didn't do this and staff didn't do that. Well, if somebody's expressing gratitude, I want to make sure that they know about it. So if there's something, I'd like to bring that forward and to the public to see.
Well, it's in the agenda, right? In the packet? Yeah.
Yes.
But I,
This month.
there was nothing this month. Okay, well, that's disappointing. So I like to just say thanks, staff, for all their hard work, right? Okay. All right, so now we have an amended motion to receive and file for 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and do we have a second by Michael? All in favor? Aye. Voted, passes 4-0, and this meeting is adjourned.
So they're like.